You are now listening to the Daughter to Daughter podcast with your host, Shaniqua King, where we heal from trauma in the presence of God. Join me as we embark on a healing journey that encompasses the spiritual, mental, and emotional work necessary to overcome past trauma in the presence of our Father, learning to lay it down at His feet and in turn receive restoration, wholeness, and healing. When you know whose you are, you know who you are, and you know what you have. Welcome back to another long-awaited episode of the Daughter to Daughter podcast. I should say welcome back to a new season, I guess, because I finished off 10 episodes and then I took an unintentional break. It really was unintentional. I did not plan to stop recording episodes, but it just happened that way. And I think that God needed me to rest anyway. I was definitely in a season of rest. The entire month of June was me catching up on rest because, I was ripping and running the month of May. Like, I did the play, and that was in May. And so we were rehearsing like crazy. I was driving back. I was wiped. Anyway, I needed to recover. And that's what I did the month of June. Really, I rested and I recovered. And now we're back. I actually did try to record an episode, and something was going on with my computer where it deleted like 15 minutes of the episode. And I was like, you know what? And guess what? That episode I was talking about rest. So I think God was like, you know what? You need to stop talking about it and do it. And so I was like, all right, I'm not even going to try to salvage the episode. I'll just start up again in July. So, hi, welcome back. Here we are. And in today's episode, y'all, this is going to be very unscripted because I thought about this maybe a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I don't know. And then I just thought about it like 10 minutes ago while I was washing the dishes, and I said, okay, this is the perfect time. And so in today's episode, I am going to, I'm going to be reading a letter that I wrote myself 12 years ago. I wrote this letter my senior year of high school. We had to write a letter to our future selves, if I remember correctly. And so I have this envelope and I wrote my name on it. And it also says, do not open for 10 years. So this was 2012. I wrote this letter. It has been long over 10 years. It's been 12 years. So literally, this past, because I graduated, May 2012 or June 2012, high school. So it just hit 12 years and I have not opened this letter. And I'm about to open it and read it and reflect live with you guys and my husband in the background, maybe listening. So here we go. I'm opening the letter. Here's some ASMR. Okay. Ooh, all right. Hold on. All right, you guys. There's two notes in here. There's one little note and then there's a big letter that I wrote. And I'm just going to open this little note. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. This little note is from I think he was civics teacher. He was like the coolest high school teacher ever. Anyway, in this note, he says, Shaniqua, what's up? Where you at now? You were my best student. And then he says, shh, don't tell anyone, Mr. Vincent. Y'all, I love Mr. Vincent. I remember my freshman year of high school. I remember him writing me a note, and it's not weird or anything. It's not like, oh, he wrote me this secret note. We had these it was something that we would do. Like, students would write notes to each other and then put it in their little pockets. So I guess, like, if I remember correctly, we had like little, not cubbies, but something like that, where we could write notes to one another and like encouraging notes, and put it in each other's little cubbies or pockets or whatever. And also with the teachers as well. The teachers would write encouraging notes and also put it in the students' little pockets things. So I remember my freshman year of high school, at the end of that year, he wrote me a note, and I think I had it up until, it might be in here somewhere, but it said something along the lines of like, he was just saying like how he was worried about me in the beginning because I was so quiet, but also I looked very sad. And then he saw like how much I opened up, and I remember him saying something about he saw a light in me. And I kept that note. I'm telling you, it's somewhere in here, but I kept that note because it meant so much to me, for somebody on the outside to say like, I see you, and I don't see you as angry. I see you as sad. And so, yeah, wow. But this note, oh my goodness, where's Mr. Vincent now? Oh my goodness, wow. Anyway, and that he dated it. It says 5/21, 2012. 5/21 is the day we got married, my husband and I. Wow, that's so special. That is so special. Anyway, who would have known? Who would have known that 9 years later from this little note, I would be getting married on that exact day that my high school teacher wrote me this little note 9 years previously. Anyway, so, okay. Oh, here I am opening the big letter. Oh, it's a couple pages too. All right, y'all. So it says, Dear Shaniqua in the future. First of all, my handwriting went through so many different phases. um, oh my goodness, I am not reading these names in here. All right. It says, Dear Shaniqua in the future. I cannot. Okay, I'm a little nervous to read this. Today is May 18th, 2012. It's a Friday, 7:50 a.m. I am in contemporary issues class. First period. Caner Tech. I'm wearing a turquoise shirt, tan pants, and shoes to match, and my jean jacket. In case you forgot, your rod is Selena. Best friend is Kanisha. You were... Hold on. Let me pause. Rod is ride or die. Which I haven't talked to Selena in years. We lost touch, but... and then I go on to say, you were stupidly in love... I can't read this. I don't know. Oh, goodness. It says you were stupidly in love with Daniel. I'm not reading last names, y'all. And madly in love with Fab. If you guys don't know Fab, the rapper, Fabulous. But you'll never forget that either. I hope you establish your career as a psychologist or marriage counselor. I wonder what your life would be like if you didn't go to Caner. I would not even be writing this letter if that was the case. I don't know what else to say. Your Twitter name is Bad Gal Neek. Your password is, in case you want to see, Facebook. Wow, I wrote it all out. I wrote out my Facebook email, password. I wrote out the password and I said, yes, you're weird. And then I signed it by saying, I had a great childhood, smiley face. Love, Neek. That was it. That's that's the letter. Okay, this it's not as bad as I was thinking that it was gonna be. I had absolutely no idea what to expect. Um, Here's the second page. It says, Shaniqua, May 18th, 2012. It says, in 10 years, I would like to accomplish many things. I want to become a psychologist slash marriage counselor. I want to be married with a couple of kids in a nice house. I want my husband to have an established career, and I want him to be my high school sweetheart. Yeah, that was pretty close. College sweetheart. Or he can be Fab or even Kirko Bangs. I'd be satisfied. Smiley face. That's the end of that one. Y'all. Woo. That. Okay. That's interesting. Because I'm thinking about it. I don't now I'm thinking about like, oh, I guess I did know my senior year of high school that I wanted to do psychology. I guess that makes sense because my freshman year of college, I declared psychology as my major. And then I told you guys that story of when I declared psychology as my major and I ran into the whatever he was, recruiter, college recruiter, or whatever he was, and he said that I should change my major because it wasn't practical. And so I changed my major after that. But wow, I want to be married with a couple kids. Well, we indeed are married with a kid. Um, wow, this is funny. I want to go back to the first letter though. I love how descriptive I was with the day. I do not remember taking a contemporary issues class. I don't remember that. Don't remember a lot of the classes that I took in high school, actually. Wow. Memory lane is hilarious. I want to go back to the line that says stupidly in love because, huh? Stupidly. She was right. She was right about that. Stupid. Stupidly in love. Stuck on stupid for so long. Stuck on stupid. All right, I'm just going to leave that there. I hope you establish your career as a psychologist slash marriage counselor. Well, close. After I started grad school, I thought I still wanted to do marriage counseling. And then after I took that class, I said, you know what? I do not want to do, no, it was after I graduated grad school. I said, yeah, no, I don't want to do marriage counseling. So pretty close. This was very interesting. It was nerve-wracking to open up this letter and read it live with everybody listening, even my husband. I didn't plan to open it and read it live. I was probably gonna, read it in the bathroom or something, or in the car. But I mean, I'm glad I read it because this is very interesting. Reflecting. I'm looking at the little note that my teacher wrote me. He said, Shaniqua, what's up? where you at now? And this was a white guy, I should preface, because if you read this little letter, it sounds like this teacher may have been black, but you know, he could have been invited to many cookouts. Anyway, where are you at now? Well, Mr. Vincent, thank you for asking. I am here with my husband. Our baby is taking a nap, and yeah, I did not do anything with what I graduated high school with. I mean, with a diploma, yeah, but so for most of you who don't know, I went to a tech school for high school, and my shop was fashion. They no longer have fashion there at this present day. Um, I think they said something about it not being practical. Anyway, um, I took fashion. I learned how to sew. I was sewing for all those years in high school. Did my senior and junior prom dress, along with a lot of different little things in between. Um, so I wish I would have kept up sewing. I wish I would have stayed on top of it, and really nurtured that because it was fun. But yeah, I'm here. And speaking of, baby just woke up. Um, so just reflecting on that letter, like all jokes aside, at the end of that letter, I said, you had a great childhood. And I want to really kind of reflect on that part because, whew, um, I had a really good, I want to say I had a good childhood. I had a good childhood. I had fun. Um, I had a great childhood. I'm just thinking of like, the basics and stuff. However, I was very sad. And even going back to what I said about my high school teacher, this teacher that wrote me the note, my freshman year, he also wrote me a note saying how how I looked sad, how sad I looked. Um, no, depressed, depressed. He said sad and also that I looked depressed. I'm kind of visualizing the note, and I remember seeing that word depressed. And so, and I, knowing what I know now, just like through my own therapy, personal therapy, and also being a therapist, I absolutely was. Um, there was such a sadness on the inside of me. Um, so much sadness, so much hurt, so much pain, and outwardly, no one could see it. They would attribute that to being, oh, she got an attitude problem, or oh, she mad. Oh, here she go again, mad. What's she mad at now? Why you got an attitude? What you got an attitude for? What you mad for? But no one would acknowledge or even ask, what's the matter? What do you need? What are you feeling? There was only an assumption of, here she go with her attitude. Oh, you know how Shaniqua is with her attitude. She just mad. Here she go again. And so for somebody that note meant so much to me. For somebody on the outside to look at me and really see me and really see what's like what was going on internally and point it out, like, wow, you see me. And being seen was terrifying. Being seen was terrifying because it's, well, if you see me, you truly see me, then there's a chance that you won't like what you see. There's a chance that you may reject me. Not talking specifically about this teacher, but, in general, that belief and the fear attached to it. Well, if you see me, then you may not like what you see and you may reject me. or leave me or abandon me or say that I'm mean or, whatever else. And so it meant a lot to me for him to say that because it was true. Because it was true. And, whew, yeah, that's a lot. I need a pause. I kind of almost would like to write a letter to her, to 17-year-old Shaniqua, to Shaniqua on May 18th, 2012 at 7:50 a.m. I would love to write a letter to her, and what would I say? I would say, "Dear Shaniqua, dear 17-year-old Shaniqua, I love you. I see you. You are loved. You are accepted just as you are. Jesus loves you. He can handle your big feelings. Your big feelings are not too much for him. Your big feelings are not too much for him. He can handle it. The anger, the hurt, the pain, the sadness, he can handle it. I know your family may not have done a great job at handling your feelings. They would only push it to the side and put it off as maybe an attitude or anger or meanness. But I see you. I see your hurt. I see your pain. And I'm here. I'm not leaving. I'm here." I would tell her that she is worth so much more. I would tell her that I would tell her to be sure of herself. I would tell her to be confident in herself because even if she had no idea, she was always led by the Spirit of God. I think I told you guys this story where I always said that I was going to wait until marriage to have sex for the first time. And I remember being in shop, and I just told you guys that I was in fashion, so it was a bunch of girls, and we were all in a circle and we were talking, and some of the girls were talking about like their sexual experiences and stuff, and I can't relate because I'm a virgin at this point. And I'm like, can't relate to this. I don't know what y'all talking about. And I said, well, I'm going to wait until I'm married. And like, they kind of looked at me like, "Er?" And I remember we had a substitute teacher, and the sub, she was pretty cool and she was very familiar with us because she was sub often. And I remember her saying, "Why would you do that? Like, why would you buy a car without test driving it first?" And that stuck with me. And I said, maybe she's right. And what did I do, y'all? Y'all heard in a letter where I said I was stupidly in love. Well, yeah, just put the pieces together. And I wish I would have been more sure of myself and standing flat-footed on what I believed. And so I would tell her that. I would tell her to stand boldly and flat-footed on what you believe. I would tell her to seek God, seek Jesus, to search and find him. I would tell her that she is beautiful, that she is absolutely beautiful, just the way she is. I would tell her, I would sit with her and do a search on her name because I hated my name, you guys. I hated it because of just the stigma that came with it. Oh, Shaniqua. Oh, oh, you ghetto, or, oh, you this, or you that. Just a stigma that came with that name. And I hated it for so long. And so I would tell her that her name is absolutely beautiful. And I would sit with her and maybe do a research on what it means. Recently, a few years ago, I learned. I looked it up one time, and what came up was, it said gift of God, gift of God, and I was absolutely mind blown, because my entire life, I didn't believe that I was a gift. I didn't believe my name was a gift, and so I would tell her that you are a gift from God. You are a literal miracle. And I would show her the Bible and show her all the miracles that Jesus did. And I would tell her that she is also a miracle that Jesus did. She is a miracle, because I don't know if you guys know my birth story, not my my daughter, but my birthday, the day I was born. So my mother was addicted to drugs, and so I was born what they would call a crack baby. And I was born only a couple pounds, if that. And I was so small I could fit into the palm of someone's hands. And so I was very small. I was very small and underdeveloped. Um, and I had to fight. I had to fight as a baby. Um, and so I would tell her that she is a literal miracle, that God saved her. The enemy had a plan to take her out over and over and over again. But Shaniqua, God had a plan for you. He saved you for such a time as this, that you got through that because there was purpose. There is purpose on the inside of you. There is so much that needs to be birthed through you. There are generations that will be birthed through you. You're special. You are beloved. You are the apple of God's eye. I would tell her so much, y'all. I would tell her so much. And that is why daughter to daughter, that's a part of why daughter to daughter was birthed. To show you, his daughter, that he loves you, that he accepts you, that you can bring the trauma you experience, you can bring it to his feet. You can bring it to his feet and learn who you are outside of that trauma, outside of the labels that were assigned to you by your family. You can learn your identity in Christ. And when you learn whose you are, when you learn his character, his identity, and who you are in him, you know what you have. And you will not compromise. You will not settle for less. You will not be swayed to and fro. And so I remember even when I graduated college, undergrad, I remember making a YouTube video and saying like, okay, what's next for me? I don't know. But I do have a desire to create a nonprofit for little Black girls. This is what I said. I want to create a nonprofit organization for little Black girls like me, and to show them that they are loved, that they can do all things through Christ. And I think I said some more, but it was always a desire of mine, and partly because of what I experienced growing up, the trauma that I experienced, and this is no fault. I've completely forgiven my parents. This is no fault to them at all, because they experienced trauma that that had a physical manifestation of drug abuse and addiction and all that. And so it's such an insidious cycle, trauma. And you guys, if you guys listen to the first episode, I talk about this, and I talk about how the enemy, I believe that the enemy orchestrated trauma um, for this specific reason, to create and to allow generational curses to run rampant in the bloodlines. And so if you haven't already, go listen to that episode. That first, I think it's the first or second episode, or both. But I talk about that a lot in those episodes. Just about like trauma and how it originated, how you can read the book of Genesis. You can read literally the whole Bible, and there's trauma in the Bible. But I talk about in the garden, what happened in the garden. So go listen to that episode when you get a chance. But yeah, this is what Daughter to Daughter is for, to learn your identity in Christ as a daughter, that he calls you daughter. He calls you daughter. Yes, your family may call you all these different names. They may put labels on you. They may have expectations of you that were never God's expectations. They may see you a certain way and be stuck in that perspective of you. But God says that you are beloved. God says that you are the apple of his eye. God says that nothing can separate you from his love. And so, yeah, I'm going to just, I don't, this is this is the episode. This is the episode. Unedited, unfiltered, unscripted. And yeah, that's it. I know back then, teens, emerging adulthood, we think that we know everything. We think that we have it figured out. And I had absolutely no idea. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can attest to that same sentiment, that you had absolutely no idea what you were doing or what you wanted to do, who you were. And so, who I presented as back then, there was so much on the inside of me that needed to be healed. And I'm just grateful that God took me through a healing process to finally uncover all of that stuff, to finally, take the Band-Aids off, because what is hidden can't be healed. And so I'm so glad. I'm so glad, because, I wouldn't be able to be the mother I am today, the wife that I am today, the daughter of God that I am today, had I not went through that very uncomfortable healing process, that very uncomfortable healing journey, where I had to face and forgive very difficult truths about myself, about my parents, about my family. I had to radically forgive without apologies. And, that's something that we have to do on this walk with Christ. We have to forgive by faith. And so I'll leave you guys with this. Whatever you experience growing up, whatever trauma you've experienced, whatever your family did to you or didn't do, because you may say, well, I didn't really experience trauma, or, I had a great childhood. But I promise something could be laying in there. Yeah, I wasn't beat or anything. But I was yelled at, or I was talked down on a little bit, or I was highly criticized. There was a lot of pressure on me to perform. There was a lot of pressure on me to get straight A's. And when I didn't, I would get in trouble. I would get reprimanded. That's trauma, right? That's a form of trauma as well. Because what happens then? You take that experience and you begin to project it onto God. And so if you had this performative thing about you, as a child that I have to perform to be loved, accepted, seen. I have to perform to be in their good graces. I have to perform. I have to make sure that I'm on my P's and Q's. I have to make sure that I get straight A's. If not, then I'm going to get in trouble. And you project that onto God. And it becomes, your relationship with God becomes performative versus intimate. This is something I have to do in order for God to love me. This is something that I have to do in order for God to accept me, to see me. And if not, he's going to reject me. And so it affects you more than you think. And so I'll leave you guys with that. You can bring all of that trauma, all of the hurt, all the pain, all the anger. And you may be even angry at God. You can bring that to him. He can handle it. He can handle it. Your feelings are not bigger than him. He can handle it. And so I'm going to end this here. I pray that this did whatever it needed to do for you. That it maybe a light bulb moment came out for you. I don't know, but I just pray that it did what it needed to do in your heart. Thank you guys. This was very vulnerable for me. So thank you guys for listening to this very unscripted, vulnerable episode of the Daughter to Daughter podcast. Dare I say, season 2 of the Daughter to Daughter podcast. I will see you guys in the next episode.